chapter 2. Prior to Daniel 2, in Daniel 1, we see Daniel and his 3 friends being taken into Babylonian captivity, and while there, being subjected to a test on the point of diet. We see that they wouldn't eat the king's rich foods, and instead remained faithful to God. God had compassion on them and made them find favor of the keeper of the wise men. So Daniel 2 picks up the story and continues with perhaps the most remarkable dream in all of Earth's history. The dream was a prophetic one with reference to the whole of our world's history, including to our present time now and into eternity. This makes the study of Daniel chapter 2 extremely relevant, especially for us at this time, because we're living at the closing scenes of Earth's history. So the person who was gifted with this prophetic dream was King Nebuchadnezzar, who was ruler over the Babylonian Empire. So at this time, Babylon was the first world empire and was the greatest, richest, and most influential of all empires in the then known world. The city of Babylon itself had really strongly fortified, wide walls that so wide you could race chariots around the top of them. It was famous for its beautiful hanging gardens and its plenteous gold. That was something that was really common there. It was truly a kingdom rich in wealth, beauty, and strength. Babylon had been permitted by God to take God's people, the Israelites, into captivity for their rebellion against God. So because the Babylonians had captured Israel and brought them into captivity, they viewed the Israelites' way of life as inferior to their own. And therefore they thought that Israel's gods were inferior as well to their own gods. But the true God of heaven was about to shake the kingdom at its very core. He was going to prove that the unseen Babylonian gods of wood and stone were false and knew nothing of the secret things of this earth. God was going to show that he is in charge of the world empires and that all this had been prophesied. In the 2nd year of his reign, King Nebuchadnezzar went to bed wondering just how long his kingdom would endure. He, like many other rulers, wanted to know the future. That night, God looked down from heaven and chose to entrust this benevolent dictator with a look into the future. The dream outlined for us the world's history, especially of Europe and the Middle East, from King Nebuchadnezzar's time until the end of time. So when the king woke up from his sleep, he was troubled. He knew he had had a dream of something of great importance, but he couldn't remember his dream. He couldn't remember what that was. So the Babylonians, in their culture, they actually placed great importance on dreams, and the king wanted to know the dream and its interpretation. Of course, he had astrologers, magicians, enchanters, and sorcerers, and he summoned all of these from his whole kingdom. Since he was greatly troubled, he used all the wisdom at his reach in his whole realm to try to resolve this perplexity. Trouble was, these magicians mentioned here were such as practiced magic as used in the bad sense of this term. They only pretended to be able to explain mysteries and foretell future events by the study of the stars. So, despite the early hour, middle of the night, the king summons all these wise men to his court, and he tells them in Daniel 2, verse 3, "I've had a dream, and my spirit is anxious to know the dream." These men were like many who pretend to know and foretell the future. They could make a guess at interpreting dreams, but they didn't really know the dream's meaning, and nor could they tell somebody their dream that if they'd forgotten it. So they stalled for time. They said, "King, live forever. Tell your servants a dream, and we will give you the interpretation." So this is because if the king's wise men could get full information regarding the dream, they could easily agree on some interpretation which would not damage their reputation. But their self-confidence soon vanished as the proud monarch, tired of their stalling, and said, "My decision is firm. If you do not make known the dream to me and its interpretation, you shall be cut in pieces, and your houses shall become an ash heap. However, if you tell the dream and its interpretation, you shall receive from me gifts, rewards, and great honor. Therefore tell me the dream and its interpretation." These verses contain the record of the desperate struggle between the wise men, so-called, and the king, the former seeking some avenue to escape, seeing that they were caught on their own ground, and the latter determined they should make known his dream, which was no more than their profession would warrant him in demanding. Some have severely censured King Nebuchadnezzar, saying that, he was acting the part of a heartless, unreasonable tyrant and, demanding this. But, what did these magicians profess to be able to do? To reveal hidden things, to foretell future events, to make known mysteries entirely beyond human foresight, and to do this by the aid of supernatural agencies. If then their claim was worth anything, could they not make known to the king what he had dreamed of? They certainly could. There was therefore nothing unjust in Nebuchadnezzar's demand that they should make known his dream. And in verse 11, when they declared that none but the gods whose dwelling was not with flesh could make known the king's matter, it was a tactic in acknowledging that they had no communion with these gods and knew nothing beyond what human wisdom and discernment could reveal. For this cause,